And there's some people, you remember Jesus said that there were people who were going to persecute us because of him. I've worked with people. I've been in the community with people who there's something about me they don't like. And it's because it's a spiritual thing. Hi, welcome to episode number 41 of Joy in the Pivot. I'm Dr. Phyllis, your host. Wow, I have been thinking about you. Today's topic is really a question. Is your calling blocking your purpose? I'm going to give you a moment. I'm going to adjust my glasses while you think about that for a minute. Is your calling blocking your purpose? The reason I want to share this is there was a time that I really can say that I was so caught up with what I felt God had called me to do, that it was becoming a stumbling block to his purpose and who he had created me to be. I was called to be a physician. I spent many years studying in school. I knew I wanted to be a doctor from when I was in middle school. And I had a family doctor that was a role model. I had a couple cousins who were physicians. And once I had my sights on set, my vision was I'm going all in. So went to college, medical school, years of additional training, including residency and internship, and practiced medicine for over 25 years. Now, don't get me wrong. My time as a physician has been phenomenal. And I can see where I made a difference, not only as a frontline physician, but also as a physician leader, inspiring people. Now, as I've shared with you, I got so caught up. I was so caught up because of a lot of different reasons in being the physician leader, being the physician. And it became such a point that I was ignoring God's whispers that, hey, Phyllis, besides being a physician, I also called you into ministry. I also have called you to use your voice for me. And I wasn't listening. He sent signs after signs like, okay, sister, you need to slow it down. But no, because I was so caught up, and especially when you allow yourself to get tired or life hits a snag, and we know that, we had COVID, but I can't blame everything on COVID-19. Now, that was a real thing for a lot of us. And work became even more stressful for a lot of different reasons during that time. Yet God had been trying to get my attention years before that, that he needed me to slow it down so he could tell me something, but I ignored it. So God had called me to medicine. I wanted this promotion to as a physician leader. He allowed me to do that. And I wanted, in my mind, I just felt like it's a natural thing. You finish one 6-year term, you do another one. I mean, that's all I knew is like, how could I not continue in that position? Yet I'm going to be totally transparent. God had to say, look, I allowed you to do this for it was a term of 6 years. Plus, you've heard me say I had to somewhat kind of go through a pledge period, 2 years leading up to it. So, really, 8 years of my life, I was, I'm just going to say it, consumed. Either getting the position or working in the position. And everything else in my life got the leftovers, including God. Yes, I said it. And I praise him. I thank him because the fire he put me through, the trials and tribulations he put me through to get my attention, and as I call it, pulled that emergency stop cord on the treadmill. It wasn't comfortable. Yet I probably wouldn't have listened if he had not done something extreme. So I did not get the reappointment. And like most of us, right? The first thing we do is take it personal. Yet it really had nothing to do with the people, be it my supervisors or those who decided for whatever reason to make derogatory statements about me or what. It really is not about them. They're just a part of the story, just like Joseph, right? In Genesis, where his brothers were a part of his story. And just like with Joseph, what people may have in their own, because of their own hurt, their own issues, what they may at the moment were using to get at me, God used for his good, because he needed me to get out of that position, out of that season of calling, so he could pivot me to the next chapter, which is being a transformational life coach. He had to free up some space. And because I wasn't listening, I was ignoring, and the more things were unsettled, I'd go looking for something else to get involved in, because I had become, I'm going to be honest, I had become somewhat, I'm just going to use the word, attracted to, addicted to new things. I love creating new things, the new shiny objects. And probably in the midst of that, looking for a new position to go for or a new project to work on. I was outrunning God. I was outrunning the fact that he needed me to slow it down so he could really get my attention, to say, okay, I called you to do medicine. I put you in a position of leadership, which I never told you that I wanted you to do for a total of 12 years. but I allowed you to do it so that you could do some good during that time of those 6 years. But now it's time to move on. But no, Phyllis, you decided you were going to do it your way and you didn't even consult me. I'm going to tell you, sis, I did not. I asked God when I went for the original leadership position. I remember sitting in my car when the email went out inviting people to apply. I remember asking God, should I do this, God? And he said, go for it. But I'm going to tell you, now after that 6 years was over, again, total of 8 years, and it came up just a normal cycle for reappointment, evaluation, and to give others also the opportunity to apply. At that point, I had done what I needed to do, really, in retrospect. I had done the work. I had carried the bloodstained banner. I had carried the burdens. I had led my department through the COVID-19, which was wow. So I should have been ready to kind of dance off in the sunset, but that wasn't where my brain was. It's like, well, of course, you know, it's just normal, right? To go for another 6 years. And I'm going to be honest, I didn't stop and ask God to tell me if I should go for it. I just went for it. And going through that reappointment or appointment process was horrendous. And as I said, I definitely went through the fire. Yet September will be 4 years. I thank the Lord. It was so uncomfortable. Everything that's transpired even since then. Yet I am standing in an awesome place. And I praise him because there was no way that I would have been able to be able to have the capacity to be present to take care of my mom when she needed me the most. I would not be able to be present, to be the wife that I needed to be and need to be to my husband, or now care for my family and help the family member that I'm taking care of and helping right now, or to be present and for my kids as they are continuing to mature in adulthood. Because I was so wrapped up in work. And now, by putting that in perspective, I was called to do that for a season. So, from that lesson, I have learned to be mindful and sensitive when it's time to move on. So, I've held other positions in the community. I've held other positions at work. And as you know, I am here to be a transformational life coach and do life with Christian women because God called me to women's ministry. He called me to use my voice for him. So the previous season as a physician was not for nothing. I learned a lot about people, and working over the past over 20 years as a hospice physician, I've learned about the importance of life and making the most of your life. I have talked to patients and their families at this most critical time of their life, and it's made me a better person. And I've gone through some things, some ups, downs, sideways, so that I can coach and mentor you to help you navigate. Be you trying to pivot how you approach your work and put it in the proper perspective and priority so you can show up in your life better and in your relationship with God through Jesus Christ. Or if God is telling you that your job now is not going to be where you retire, it's just a means for you to start pivoting to where he's called you to as another step to fulfill the purpose he's birthed you for. And so I'm here to help you do that. Or if maybe it's just you're just looking at, hey, I need to work through some things so I can just get ready to hang it up and fully retire. And that's what I mean about your calling can block your purpose. And I want you to stop right now and think about, what do you feel called to do? The job that you're in right now. Do you feel that your job that you're in right now is your calling, that you're using your skills? And I also want to ask you about even your calling. Reason I'm pausing, because there's so much to unpack there. But let's just stay there. Let's deal with work this time. Is your calling, the job that you're in, what labels have you put on yourself because of that? The calling. I'm the gap filler. Does that sound familiar to you? I'm the go-to person. I'm the fixer. I'm the work mom. I'm the work wife. I'm the one who's so resilient. I'm the only one who can do it. This is all I can do. Are these labels that you put on yourself? I've spent years preparing for this work. How can I even think about doing anything else? These narratives that you're telling yourself. Think about that for a moment. What labels have you assigned to yourself because you feel like where you are is your calling? Because if you're not careful, while those can be very good gifts and talents and skills that God has given you in the midst of his calling, can I say this? You'll start believing the hype. You will get it in your mind that that's all you can do. And you will start looking for validation of that because you feel like that's all you are those different labels. Instead of, okay, let me step back. What am I here to do at this job? What is the role of my job? Because as we talked about last week, as Christians, we are peculiar. You're not going to fit in every situation, every work environment, every table, be it in the C suite or the M suite. And there's a reason for that because you're not meant to. Because not everybody in there is Christian or have a faith in some higher power. We as Christians believe in God through Jesus Christ. But you're out there working with people who they don't believe in any higher power than themselves, their own devices. Or they're disconnected. And there's some people, you remember Jesus said that there were people who were going to persecute us because of him. I've worked with people. I've been in the community with people who there's something about me they don't like. And it's because it's a spiritual thing. Maybe they feel guilty or maybe they're jealous that they can sense my connection with God. So I want you to think about today. What labels are you putting on yourself because of your calling? And is God telling you that you're still where he needs you to be? Or maybe is he sending you signals that he needs you to really be open and ask him, as scary as it can be, what is it that he needs you to do, or where does he really need you to be? If he's telling you to stay where you are, then good. Then let's try to help you pivot in your thinking and your approach so that you can have joy even in the midst of all the craziness and potential unfairness, or as I said, messiness and drama and been there, done that kind of stuff, right? Or if he's telling you, hey, there's something else. Maybe he hasn't told you what that is. And even with that, to be able to show up at work every day and do what you need to do, you have to pivot in your thinking. And additionally, just as you've heard me say, what happens at home? What's going well? What's not going well? Worry and concern. No matter how you try to suppress it, or, and you really do, to a certain degree, have to try to compartmentalize it so you can be present where you are. But unless you address it and deal with it, it will spill over. It'll spill over into work. And really what can be detrimental is when the drama that goes on at work or the fatigue associated with work the depletion that is related to work. If you're not careful, and again, the work you're doing is your calling. At some point in time in your journey. But if you're not careful, all that stuff that goes on at work will spill over to home. And then you're on this treadmill. Some of you may describe it as a hamster wheel. And I would go as far as I don't know if you remember. I'm sorry, I don't know if you remember that old movie, Groundhog Day. I think it was Bill Murray. Or Tom Hanks. Now I'm trying to remember. But it's where he kept reliving the same day over and over again. Over and over again. And if you're not careful, you will feel like you're just your life is just the same over and over again. Yet I can tell you it doesn't have to be. You don't have to live your life feeling like you're on this hamster wheel. Because when you are able to step back and put work in its proper perspective, because I believe that instead of talking about work-life balance, we should be talking about, in a way, life-work balance, putting life, putting faith, putting your spiritual, physical, emotional wellness first, and then work. Because when you are strongest and you're at your wellest, or as well as you can be, when you are optimized in your area of your spiritual life, your physical status, your emotional mental state, and when you have that daily hookup with God, then you can deal with the craziness at work. You can deal with if you are in a leadership position, or if you didn't get the position, or if you feel like other people are getting the position, or other people are getting the accolades, or just work is just not the same anymore. It's just changing. Because as we used to talk about at my job, change, the one thing that's sure in life is change. So I want you today to just think about, sis, is keep your ears open to God. Keep your eyes open to God. Is he talking to you? Keep your heart open to God. Is he putting something in your spirit that's telling you that he needs you to pivot your thinking, your approach, how you are navigating life? Because I don't want you to go through the extreme wake-up call that I had to go through when he yanked that emergency stop cord on my treadmill. I don't want you to go through that. Now, if you're going through it, I'm here for you. I'm here to walk it with you. But if you're not quite there, but God's giving you rumblings, I want to be there for you too, because I want to catch you before you spiral into that. Because it's never too late. It's never too late to take back your joy, take back your power, take back your voice, live your life with intention, revision your calling season, that maybe where you are right now, God is calling you to something bigger, it could be something lateral, but it's going to bring you more joy. It's going to allow you to tap back into your passion. Or maybe he's calling you to do something on the side in preparation for the next season. But don't let your current season of calling, the labels that you have assigned to yourself because of that calling, lock you in, like the boots they put on the cars when somebody has too many parking tickets. Don't let all of that put a boot on your car, on your life, so that you can't move forward. And keep your eye on the ultimate purpose that God has created you for. And I'm here for you because I see you. I feel you. Because I want to help you. Pivot your mind, pivot your spirit, so you can pivot your feet into God's purpose and your best life. I love you. I look forward to seeing you next week here. Enjoy in the pivot. And please don't forget to subscribe and like. And I would love to hear your comments. Love you. See you next week. Be good.